Sometimes the most dangerous prison isn't built of walls. It's built of gratitude. Stockholm Syndrome isn't love. It's loyalty rewritten by fear. In 1973, Stockholm became the stage for one of psychology's strangest discoveries. Two men stormed a bank, taking 4 employees hostage for 6 days. Police surrounded the building. Guns drawn, cameras rolling. The world watched, waiting for the hostages to turn on their captors. But when the siege ended, something no one expected happened. The hostages refused to testify against the robbers. They raised money for their defense, and one woman, Kristin Enmark, defended the gunman live on air, saying she trusted him more than the police. It made no sense. Until psychologists realized the truth. When fear becomes constant, the mind rewrites reality to survive it. This was the birth of what we now call Stockholm Syndrome, a phenomenon where victims form emotional bonds with those who control them. But this wasn't about romance. It was about survival through attachment. Under extreme threat, logic doesn't just bend, it disappears. When the body floods with cortisol and adrenaline, higher reasoning shuts down. What's left is instinct. Fight, flight, freeze, or a fourth, lesser-known response, fawn. The fawn response is appeasement, the instinct to placate the aggressor in exchange for safety. It's ancient biology repurposed for modern terror. When escape feels impossible, the brain tries something else, connection. It mistakes compliance for control. And in that moment, fear rewires itself as gratitude. Every small kindness, a sip of water, a gentle word, a break from humiliation, becomes magnified. The captor becomes both threat and savior. It's emotional inversion, the same mechanism that turns survival into submission. In captivity, isolation is the first weapon. There's no contact, no contradiction, no reassurance from the outside world. The captor controls every variable: food, light, time, even emotion. In that environment, the mind does something extraordinary. It fuses fear and dependency. Psychologists call it trauma bonding, an emotional tether formed when danger alternates with care. The victim clings to moments of kindness as proof that the captor is human, maybe even misunderstood. It feels safer to trust the abuser than to face the chaos of total hopelessness. One former hostage said, "He fed us, he talked to us, he could have killed us but didn't. It felt like mercy." That's how the human mind confuses relief with compassion. Because when you live in constant fear, even cruelty with pauses starts to feel like kindness. Stockholm Syndrome isn't confined to hostages. It appears anywhere control meets dependency. In abusive relationships, victims defend their abusers. In cults, followers rationalize exploitation as spiritual discipline. In workplaces, employees justify toxic leaders as demanding but brilliant. Each example follows the same blueprint: power, fear, isolation, and conditional kindness. The environment changes, the psychology does not. Manipulators intuitively exploit this loop. They alternate punishment and reward, withdrawal, then affection, until the victim's emotions align with the abuser's goals. It's the same conditioning that trains animals, just weaponized for humans. And here's the darkest part. Once the attachment forms, rescuers can become the new threat. Intervention feels like betrayal. Freedom feels like danger. Because when fear has been rebranded as love, leaving feels like loss. For the abuser, Stockholm Syndrome is the perfect prison. They don't need chains, they just need control of the narrative. They rewrite reality until the victim's self-worth depends on them. This isn't about dominance alone, it's about dependence. A skilled manipulator knows when to offer comfort and when to withdraw it. When to create chaos, then offer calm. Each cycle deepens the bond until fear and affection become indistinguishable. That's why hostages beg for mercy, why victims apologize to their abusers, why cult members smile on camera. It's not stupidity. It's survival. When terror becomes routine, kindness becomes holy. Some psychologists argue Stockholm Syndrome isn't a diagnosis, it's a label for an ancient coping mechanism. But even if the term is imperfect, the pattern is real. It reveals how fragile the line between fear and affection truly is. It also forces a darker question: how often do we reward obedience born of fear? In relationships, in politics, in workplaces, how often do we call survival loyalty? Because every society at some level runs on the same trade: security in exchange for submission. And when that balance tips too far, the same instincts reappear, compliance dressed as devotion. Have you ever seen someone defend the very person or system that hurt them and wondered why? Drop it below. Survival psychology isn't always rational, but it's always revealing. Awareness is the first step out of the cage. Stockholm Syndrome thrives in secrecy and shame. It dies in recognition. Notice the pairing of fear and kindness. When someone alternates cruelty with comfort, that's not care, it's control. Separate empathy from obedience. You can understand a manipulator's pain without accepting their power. Rebuild external anchors. Isolation is their weapon. Connection is yours. Friends, family, support networks, they rewire perspective. Restore your agency. Every act of choice, however small, weakens the illusion of dependency. Healthy systems encourage autonomy. Toxic ones reward silence. If someone makes you feel safer obeying than speaking, that's not love. It's leverage. Freedom begins when you can tell the difference between gratitude and grooming. The dark psychology of Stockholm Syndrome isn't about victims loving their captors. It's about how fear can reprogram affection, how survival instincts can betray morality, and how easily protection turns into prison. Because power doesn't always need violence. Sometimes it only needs vulnerability. This was Deceive and Believe. If you want more dark psychology exposed, hit like, subscribe, and stay sharp, because manipulation never sleeps.